Guys, out here riding the 2021 Kawasaki KLX300. Spent a day off-road today. We've got a fun day tomorrow riding the Supermoto version of this bike. So kind of run through a little bit of what we did today. It was everything from back highway roads to an OHV park. Had a lot of fun. This bike has kind of been in Kawasaki's lineup for quite a while now, but they increased the bore, so now it's a 300 from the 250 previously. It's gone up a couple $100 to starting at 5,600. And then if you want the camo version with the black frame and everything, it looks really good. I'd pony for the camo version myself. It's 5,800. Other than that, it's just been a really cool bike, and it's a motorcycle that you could get and keep in the garage, and you could have your kids learn on it. You could ride it around the ranch. You could ride it around town. Doesn't matter if you're in LA or you're out in middle Montana, whatever. It's a really cool bike to sit around and just have that to run around with the family on. And another thing about it being a single, the 292cc single, is it's also easy to work on. So, you know, if you don't want to do the work yourself, it's got like a 7,600 mile service interval. So it's pretty good. But then again, you know, you can pop that tank off and kind of probably do it yourself and just kind of learn. It's one of those bikes that father, son, father, daughter, mom, daughter, whatever, you know, you can kind of have that bonding time with it and just go out and have a lot of fun. It's not a very serious motorcycle, but at the same time, we probably pushed the bike's limits quite a bit today and found the limits of the suspension and ground clearance and whatnot, but everyone here had a great time. The 300 kind of feels like a sweet spot in the bike. The gearing is really nice, 1440 final drive gearing, and it was nice out on the trails. It has a lot of torque, you know, low down in the rev range. Definitely through the first few gears. So when you're kind of poking around, like we did today out in an OHV park with some ascents, descents, and stuff like that, it's got plenty of torque to get up a hill. I did notice this morning, getting out of town, we're kind of on a long slope, and you could tell that the engine would maybe struggle, but at the same time, on flat ground, I hit 83. I'm probably 180 pounds plus gear, so did the job and would do it just about anywhere. It's got a little bit of run out in the revs too, so you can kind of rev it out quite a bit, and it peters off a little bit up top, but it's got the 21 18-inch wheel combo, so it's kind of, you know, it's geared towards that kind of off-road trail riding, and I think it's pretty well set up for that. The KLX300, it's a really comfortable bike. On the road, it soaks up all the imperfections. If you're hammering the brake, the fork is going to dive, but normal riding conditions, I didn't have any problems on the street. It was super comfortable. Ergonomics for me, I'm 5'8", worked out really well. Standing up, I kind of wish the bars were a little higher. So I don't know, if it were my bike, I might put risers on it, or probably roll the bars forward first and then maybe put risers on it just to be a little more comfortable standing up. 9 inches of travel in the rear, 10 in the front. So you got quite a bit of travel there, and then you have like 10 inches of ground clearance, so it's pretty good. And off-road, you just kind of need to be cognizant that you're not on a bike that's performance oriented, really, you know, it's something that you're going out there and racing on or something like that. This isn't the bike for that. What is nice about this bike, riding it on the trails, is you can go over really cobblestone, big rocks, whatever, and the suspension eats it up. It's like riding a Cadillac off-road, so that's fun. And honestly, it's probably less intimidating to a lot of riders who aren't looking to, you know, slam their way through a bunch of rocks, whoops, whatever. It's just really comfortable. Yeah, so braking on the bike, you know, on the road when you have tires like what we have on this, you're always going to be flirting with the edge of traction if you're pushing it too hard. I didn't have a problem with the brakes at all. The rear brake worked really well for me. Off-road, I really appreciated it. The front, I felt like the bite was there, the initial bite, and the strength was there. It's, you know, we're not talking Brembo stylemas here, but it totally gets the job done off-road, and it's more than enough on-road. And I think what you need to be worried about more on-road is what kind of rubber you have on the bike, to be kind of worried about where that limit's going to be found. Getting out here and coming to these events, even though we're out here with our competitors, you know, we travel a lot and we ride motorcycles a lot, and we kind of need to rely on each other to have a good head on each other's shoulders or something like that. But it's always a blast to get out and ride bikes with your friends, and bikes like these, it's just, everything's so intimidating. The price point's low. It's always going to be a good time. And the other thing about it is you can push a bike like this, you know, if you have some experience, you can push a bike like this all the way to its limits and it'll be okay. And I saw a couple of these bikes tip over today and they were totally fine. You know, I mean, I would like to see handguards on the bike. You know, wraparound handguards might have prevented a clutch lever from getting broken today, but I guess you have to buy that from the aftermarket. And then we got a chance to come out to the kart track here in Prairie City, and that was a lot of fun. Spun a bunch of laps, had a pretty good time. Unfortunately, I decided to check out how abrasive the pavement was in a low-speed turn. But overall, it was a lot of fun, and I think it was really cool to get out and ride on the street this morning and then come to a track like this and be able to just spin laps on a bike. That's a super cool feature of any motorcycle, and it's kind of the same thing with the dual sport as well. You have the chance to just ride around town, do whatever you need to do, and then peel off and have some fun, you know, in the afternoon whenever you have time, whatever. Some changes between the two bikes. You lose an inch of suspension travel front and rear between the dual sport and the Supermoto. The spring rates on each end are also bumped up quite a bit. Rake is actually a little bit steeper on the SM as well, and the trail is quite a bit shorter. So the bike handles really, really great. It's a really quick steering bike, and again, you know, coming out to a kart track is a perfect place to get to really test that out. But on the street too, it's just a really nimble, easy motorcycle. It feels super light. It's a lot of fun. The brake rotor is also a bit bigger, and then of course you have the 17-inch lace wheels. What's cool about having the 300 SM is, you know, we have a slightly smaller rear sprocket, so it's a 1437, so you get a little bit better gearing for street riding, and you know, you have a little bit more top speed, but at the same time it's really the same motor, so you still have a lot of that low end torque, and I think bumping it up to 300 again kind of really helped out in that department. The smaller wheels just make the bike feel really, really flickable, and that torque, that low end torque, makes it a blast to ride on, you know, tight, twisty roads or around town. What shined out there on the twisty roads that we had this morning was further illustrated here at the kart track. You know, this is an environment where you get geared up, maybe a one-piece suit or whatever, and then you can kind of have fun and push the bike's limits in a safer environment. And with a motorcycle like this, it's a really fun motorcycle. And I mentioned it about the dual sport as well, but this is a much less intimidating package than trying to come out here on like a KTM 450, you know, built Supermoto bike. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get into trouble with a bike like that. With a bike like the KLX300SM, it's a lot easier for your average Joe or new rider that's just interested in pushing the limits and finding the limits of what a motorcycle has to offer. The kart track's a great place to do that. I was thinking about it this morning while we were just kind of cruising through some just kind of roads, snaking through some really nice green hills and whatnot out here. It's really beautiful around Folsom. But one thing I started thinking, I was like, man, this engine is super smooth. And I think it is really smooth, but I think the narrower handlebar as well as the big rubber inserts on the foot pegs make a big difference. Like, you really don't feel any vibrations through that, so it's a nice feature to have. At $6,000, you know, it's a great tool for people to keep in the garage, let the whole family use, for people to come out to a track like this, kind of get initiated into, you know, maybe track riding, and maybe, you know, they want to work their way up. It's a great bike for that. And again, it's a little bit more than the dual sport model at $6,000. Just a couple $100 more if you wanted the camo version or whatever. It's a great price point. I think for me, I do like the versatility of the dual sport because I kind of enjoy getting out and riding off-road. I think that the Supermoto, if you really have no interest in that, the Supermoto is a great street bike. You know, it's just, again, just for around town, anything kind of use. I like the dual sport because I think that kind of gives you more versatility, being able to get out and get off-road as well as getting around town. But that's just me. Kind of depends on what you want to do. Even though I hit the deck once, I still had a great time, and it was just a bent clutch lever. The bike did incredibly well. It didn't look damaged at all except for the bent lever, and we got that, Kawasaki got that replaced for me pretty quickly, and I got back out to finish the session. So good time. And it's always great riding with friends and being out here and get the opportunity. Yeah, guys, so if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. For the full write-up, it'll be on Motorcycle.com.